Hello, this is Philip Beadle from Holochain. If you'd like to get in contact or find out some more about what I've been up to, you can check out my website philipbeadle.life. In this video, I'm going to be showing my new IDE for Holochain called CRISPR, which is a play on the DNA editing tool that's available in the genetic editing world. This is a Holochain DNA editing tool, and it's designed to make building Holochain apps really simple. So this is the home page, well, not the home page, but the opening screen, and this is where all the different projects that I'm working on with CRISPR are shown. So you can see I've got nodes, origins, tasks, a few other bits and pieces. But the first thing I want to show you is how to look after yourself. So if you hit the question mark on any screen, and anywhere you see a question mark, it'll do the same thing. This tells you a bit about what CRISPR is. As you can see, CRISPR in the genetic editing world is clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. And CRISPR, with the associated protein of 9, which is what they use to make the gene editing, is Cas9. And funnily enough, managed to make a very similar acronym for Holochain, which is to clone, rearrange, identify, socialize, personalize, and repeat your Holochain apps. And we also have a CAS, which is our content addressable system. So a little bit of fun there. Not only that, there is a knowledge base. So if you hit support, over here you can see a tag cloud with various articles that have been tagged. So if I click on one of these, you'll see a list of articles down the bottom here, which you can go and have a look at. Or you can go through the tree like this, and this shows you what to do. So this one here explains what CRISPR is, and this last one here is a step-by-step on how to actually build an app, which we're going to do in a bit more detail in a follow-up video very soon after this. Right, so where are we? Oh, that's right, I want to go back. So let's hit the back button a few times. Here we go. Right, back where we're supposed to be. So on this page, I also wanted to show you the personas. So a very big thing about Holochain is being able to manage your own personal data, and this is what it's done. This is the personas and profiles app. So here you can see I have various personas based on what I'm doing. So my work one, a personal one, and my music career as well. And then profiles, which is every time you fill out a registration form on a website, you're filling out a profile. And with Holochain, we enable that so that all that personal sensitive information that you're banding around to different applications, you actually get to store locally on your own machine and look after it. And so you can see here that I have a profile of Philip Beadle and my avatar. I can edit these as well, so I can select different handles if I like and save that. Now while we're on this page, I just want to show you a couple of other things. So let's go over here to the help again, and you can see here that this is a different list of help. So this is going to show you all the different icons on this page. So if we go down here and click on the settings, you can see here that we can create new groups and we can do things like verifications. And also if we click on the actual open, you can select different networks of people, which is a different DHT with different agents in it, but the same UI, and you're part of both networks, so you can look at both of those ones. So you can pick and choose your own DHTs. So I'll just close that. Now if we click over on the right here, you'll see that we have a friends list. And the person who is in the CRISPR DHT with myself is Arthur Brock. And you can see the little green arc around here. That's actually what project we were working on last year called Abundance of Presence. And the idea of that is that's actually a 24-hour clock. And that shows when Arthur is available in my 24-hour clock, because we're actually 17 hours apart. And if it's green, it also means he's online. Right, so the other thing you can do on this page too is get some more information about the actual app. So let's go and click on here on a kanban, and you can see we've got a much larger picture and a bit of a blurb on what the actual application is. Right. Now if you have a look down here, we've still got Holochain projects. Now what I want to show you is that when we go to a different application which has a different DHT, you get a another group of people, because I'm part of multiple groups in this app. So if I go to the Kanban app, let's say we open up the Holochain projects Kanban boards instance, you can see we have a bunch of different Kanban boards here, which are all being asynchronously populated. And over on the right hand side here now, you can see that we've changed group. So I'm now in the Holochain Kanban group, which has Mary and Mark, no Arthur. And if you click down here, you'll see that we have the two different groups showing. So I can easily switch back to CRISPR projects, and then I have Arthur showing there. Right, so let's have a look at the news. So if you click on the news, this is actually an RSS feed from the Holochain blog. This will keep the developers up to date with what's going on in the community and what we're doing as a dev team. Nice and speedy, it's all pretty cool. And settings is the other one I want to show you for now, and this is just has a bunch of things that we, for changing how your app works, Rightio, so let's get to the important stuff. Let's go back to these projects and let's go and look at what is an actual Holochain app in CRISPR. So each of the projects has a bunch of icons at the bottom. I want to start off on the right here with the code braces, which takes you through to the zome modeler. And this is all responsive, etc., etc. So we'll close these two menus to give us the maximum amount of room. And you can see we're in CRISPR now, and we've got a fairly familiar file explorer on the left-hand side here, which shows you all of the different files that are needed to build a Holochain application. So we've got some Nix files here, so this is making sure that I'm on the latest version of Holochain, and so using Nix shell, that's how the whole thing operates. And then go through these various things. Let's go down to the zomes, which is the interesting part, and let's have a look at, say, like the zome.json file, and then there's a bunch of files in here which don't have anything in them yet. Okay, so let's fix that, shall we? Let's click on the zome name, because of course we've didn't quite know what to do, so we clicked on the help and we saw what to do. Don't click on the zome name to see the model. Right, cool. Let's do that. Click on the zome name, which is origins. And here you can see we have a SVG based, it's kind of a cross between a data model and actual instances. So what this is showing here is a pattern that I've been using to be able to store and retrieve, update and delete entries in Holochain. And so if you don't know the exact address of an entry, you need to be able to find it. And we do that by using the anchors crate. And what that allows you to do is use known text, like human rememberable information, and that will retrieve a hash key, and then you can go and get all of the things linked off it. So if we scroll in here a bit, whoa, pretty sensitive. You see on the left here we have the root anchor. So this is the same anchor across all instances of the DHT. It's all exactly the same, and the idea of that is that from that we can then find all of the anchor types in a DHT, and then off an anchor type we can find whatever's linked. So essentially what's happened here is that you put in an anchor, link it to the next one using links, and then we can do the same thing again. So I've now got this list called origins, and this is linked to all of the origin entries in Holochain. And these cards are show you what's actually in one of these entries. So this is an anchor entry, so you can see here its name is Holochain anchor. You can link from it, and the type is an anchor link. It's got some name here, and it shows you what you're linking from and what you're linking to. Being SVG, you can move all this stuff around and it all looks really nice. So what we've got here on this link is the link tag, which is the top one here, which is the created out time for this particular one. And I'm trying to add some more context here to what the link is about by telling you what it's for. So what that means is that this origin entry can only be linked to one of these origins anchors. Alright, so let's back out of there a bit and let's have a bit more of a look what's going on here. So we've now got two lots of anchor types. So this lot of anchors is linked to the origin entries, but this one here is linked to profiles. So profiles, so in a Holochain apps you have an agent which has an agent ID, which is this public key, and it's a nice long string, and if I looked at that nice long string I would have absolutely no idea who that person was. So to be able to identify people so that you can do things like, control who's in your group, show friends lists, and do roles-based access and stuff like that, you need to identify the person using it by adding a profile. So these profiles have the agent ID, an avatar, and a handle, and I've used this as a standard pattern across all of the DNAs that I've built. And what that means is that then I can now find out the avatar and handle of anybody who's actually joined this DHT successfully, and they're part of the group. Alright, so let's have a bit more of a look at the actual entry that's going in here. And again, same as what we had on the anchor, this is the type. What it's a link, where it's linking from, so it's linking from Holochain anchor, it's called this origin link. UUID is true. Now the reason I've done that is because even though in a content addressable system you can have the same entry, it will always have the same hash. That's not great for linking from in some cases. If you imagine something like a Kanban board which has 3 columns, do, doing and done. If I now have another Kanban board with do, doing and done and tried to associate like items in that list to the do list, it would show up in both of those Kanban boards because there's no way to distinguish the two. So by adding in a UUID, that makes the entry unique. The other thing that happens to here is that you can control the fields and permissions. So if we have a look here, we've got content and UUID as a field, and these extra fields at the bottom here are what I'm calling meta fields. So even though they're not actually in the entry that you store, these come from the headers and various other places around the place. So I can give you that information back to the UI, so you've got more idea of what's going on. Now we can manage the list of fields here. So here you can see I've got content and UUID, and we'll get into this in the building one, but you can manage those there, and you can also manage the permissions. So here we can say, I got this, anyone can create one of these, anyone can update, and anyone can delete. Well, actually, I don't really want that. What I want is only the person who wrote the entry can update it, and let's just say no one can delete anything. Alright, now if we have a look at the buttons at the very top here, you can see we've got this button here which is an application export. So now that we've created all of this, we've configured our DNA, we can now write it out. Once it's written, then you can build it and test it and install it, and we'll get to that in the more detailed video in a minute. The other thing I wanted to show here was that you can access your Kanban board. So if we go and click on this one here, you'll see this is my Kanban board for this particular project. I want to show you one that's a bit more interesting, which is the CRISPR one. So let's go and have a look at that. And you'll see we've got do, doing and done, etc. Let's say I wanted to add a new item that needs to be done, which is record a demo video, and let's have an overview and example sessions. Cool. And we save here. Oh, really cool. Actually, well, that's actually in progress, isn't it? So let's just drag that over here. So they're recording a demo. Nice. Okay. But you know what? There's not really enough information here, and I can't really figure out what I'm supposed to actually be doing. But I just got a message from Arthur, and he said that he's created a tasks module that I can use, and he's sharing me the DHT. So if we we can go and enable this mode here, Chimera, which is a Greek mythological beast that put itself together with a whole bunch of different parts of different animals, kind of what we're doing here. So now with that mode on, I can go up here to the various different instances of all these different things that have been shared, and one of them is Holochain project tasks. And now you can see I've added in tasks to the component. And the way that I'm able to do that is if we go and look at let's go and look at the model for tasks. You'll see here that a task is just linked to an anchor. And because an anchor can be any piece of text, I can put anything I like in there. And what I've been doing is passing in the ID of the note. So if we go back to Kanban board of one that we can actually see. So what happens is that when these tasks are entered into Holochain, the anchor that they're linked to is the note here. Which means that now that you can give a lot more control to people who are using Holochain by they can configure their own UIs. Alright, so let's have a look at a couple of other models. So if we just had a look at origins, which just to remind you has an entry and it's linked off this thing called an anchor type, and it has a profile. We could go and have a look at something like notes, which as you can see has the root anchor and the anchor type, but it also has an anchor, which is the anchor type at the top here with some text in the bottom here, and then that is linked to the note. And this one also has a profile. Now if we go and look at tags is really interesting because tags has to be two directions. Because we've got our root and we've got our anchor types here and we've got our actual anchors. So let's say that we have a tag and the tag is called techno. You know, like when you, most applications allow you to tag things. And it's a free-form way of getting contextual information from the people using your app. So what we can do here is you'll see that we've got this tag called techno. And it is linked to an entry. Now that entry is not in the same DHT, it's in a different one. So you have to tell it the instance ID of that DHT and the entry ID. So that gives you that tag. Excuse me, during lockdown people like to do lots of gardening. Right, so now also, if I go to the entry, I want to know which tags it's tagged to. So this is a direct one-to-one here, but you can see this entry here is linked to techno. It's also linked to 𝗔𝗯ance and to metal. So you need to have two-way linking there, which we've got. And the last one I want to show you is the curated fields. And the reason to show you this one is because this one doesn't have a profile. So there's lots of flexibility on how we're going to build these things. Okay, I think that's a pretty good overview for now. I'll be back soon with a new one.